Hi, I'm Austin.
I'm Alex,
And you're listening to One Last Breath, an autopsy of awful albums.
where we talk about the most controversial, divisive, bizarre, and downright abysmal albums.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the polarizing fourth studio album by Linkin Park, A Thousand Suns. And Linkin Park is normally a nu metal band.
Yeah.
This is not a nu metal album.
Yeah, and also, A Thousand Suns could also be a Nick Cannon album. He kind of has a lot of sons.
He does, yeah. Aren't they all? No, I'm thinking of George Foreman, where all his kids have the same name. No, because George Foreman has George, Georgia, George 4. He has like 3 sons named George.
What the fuck? Yeah, Nick Cannon just has a lot of kids.
So Thousand Suns has been described as electronic rock, art rock, industrial rock, experimental rock, and prog rock, which are nothing. None of that's nu metal.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they kind of created their own genre with this album in a lot of aspects.
They kind of did, but I have something I want to talk about a little bit later that I want to compare it to. Those were released the same year.
Oh, okay.
Actually.
Huh. I mean, I feel like this is a very, it feels 2010.
It feels very 2010, yeah. Because there are 2 albums that are basically the same.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
Will I know it?
You'll know it.
Okay.
You'll know it. You'll recognize it and be like, how did I not think of that?
Okay.
It was... I think it's also their first concept album. I think they did a couple more after this. This is the last album I've listened to.
I
don't know.
I've listened to all their albums. I think maybe the Hunting Party had some concepts.
Someone knows.
Nothing like this.
But Mike Shinoda called it a multi-concept record. It covers themes of nuclear apocalypse. I can't say that word.
Post-apocalypticism?
Yep, can't say that. Rebelling against the government and authority, finding hope amongst chaos and sadness, which are all kind of things that would happen in a nuclear apocalypse. Mm-hmm. It contains a lot of speeches. Mm-hmm. Martin Luther King Jr., Mario Savio, J. Robert Oppenheimer. Mm-hmm. And the title comes from the Bhagavad Gita, which is a Hindu script, and also a book that the Beatles were really into.
Yeah, probably George Harrison mostly.
Yeah, I own a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Because at Warped Tour and
what?
What? There are traveling
at Warped Tour.
There are traveling Bhagavad Gita monks, and they just travel around and they'll give you the Bhagavad Gita and ask for a donation.
Was that the Warp that we went to together?
Probably saw one there. I got mine when I was at MTSU.
Okay.
And one of them came up and just started talking to us. He was like, "Hey man, I got this book."
Yes, I do remember when you got that. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, and I've read a little bit of it. It's a religious text.
Yeah, I've always wanted to read different religious texts. Seems really interesting. But I mean, I got
the title came. The title came from the excerpt. If the radiance of 1,000 suns were to burst once into the sky, that would be like the splendor of the mighty one, which was made famous mostly by Oppenheimer in reference to the atomic bomb. Also, it does have his Oppenheimer's most famous quote of the talking about the scripture of becoming death, destroyer of worlds.
Mm-hmm. Which that's the speech later on. That is the speech,
and I think it's track 1.
Track 2. The Radiance.
That's right, because track 1 is...
Yeah.
Okay,
we'll get to it.
So formed in 96 as Zero with an X.
Yeah.
Linkin Park originally consisted of vocalist Mark Wakefield, rapper and vocalist Mike Shinoda, lead guitarist Brad Delson, bassist Dave Phoenix Farrell, drummer Ron Borden, and turntablist Johan. The band released a self-titled demo next year in 97. They pitched the demo to Jeff Blue, the vice president of A&R at Zomba Music, which is a group under Sony. He was impressed by the band after seeing a live performance, but believed that Wakefield was too weak of a vocalist to continue with.
I mean, I don't doubt him. I mean, I've never heard it.
I've never heard it, but...
I need to go back and listen to the Zero
fucking there's a lot of frustration because they failed to gain the backing, and Wakefield eventually just left the band on his own accord instead of being kicked out, which probably saved everyone a lot of headache.
Yeah.
And they probably still have some sort of, at least kind of relationship, I would assume. I would assume they probably still catch up from time to time.
Yeah, actually, I can't remember what it was. I feel like I saw that he reviewed this out. I can't remember. It was something when I was reading about this album or Linkin Park as a whole. It mentioned something about him and Mike doing something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't really. So, I mean, I think they still have some sort of relationship.
So then the band went on to search for a vocalist because Jeff Blue thought they had it. And Jeff Blue actually recommended a member of a post-grunge band, Grey Days, in early 99, by the name of Chester Bennington. There's an interview with Mike Shinoda talking about the first time he heard a recording of Chester Bennington. And he says, he says that he remembers thinking, man's got this. Man's got it.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely had it.
And he does. I mean, Chester Bennington was one of the most talented vocalists definitely in all of nu metal, possibly in all of metal.
I mean, all of fucking music as
all
a
of
whole.
Music, really. Yeah,
he's up there.
So they changed their name from Zero to Hybrid Theory in the same year and released a self-titled EP.
Yeah, I saw that I think it said something about Hybrid Theory kind of came from the spark that they had, like, with Chester and together. Like, I guess they felt like...
Yeah, because from what I heard, it was an immediate, like, this is the band.
Yeah, so it was like, I guess that was where Hybrid Theory came from. Like, you know, Mike and Chester were a hybrid.
Yeah. But unfortunately, after releasing that EP, they were still struggling to get a record deal. So they once again talked to Jeff Blue, who at this point was the vice president of Warner Bros. Records, and he helped them sign the deal as a developing artist. The label advised them to change their name to avoid confusion with the British electronic duo Hybrid. Which, I guess.
I think it's funny, too, because Blink had to change their name due to... It was Irish, right? That one?
Let's see. It just says British.
British? Okay. Well...
There was an
Irish
Blink.
band called Blink. Yeah, so...
And they're like, okay, fuck it, numbers.
Fucking British people making people change their damn names. Go eat your beans and toast.
But, so the band settled on Linkin Park, which was an homage to a park in Santa Monica, California. The label's A&R was skeptical of the band's mesh of hip-hop and metal, suggesting that Bennington fire Shinoda and focus on making an exclusively rock record, which is really weird coming from... Like, this was in an era where we were still listening to nu metal. Like, Limp Bizkit.
I mean, Limp Bizkit was... I know their first album wasn't as popular as, I think, its significant other, the one that has Nookie and Break Stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that came out in 99, so it was maybe it had just came out or it was before it came out. But I mean, definitely, like, fucking Korn was one of the biggest bands. Yeah, so...
which Korn had less hip-hop.
Yeah, I mean, Linkin Park's definitely a different style of nu metal than Korn is, but still, it's like, you know, you think they would be kind of privy to, like, oh, like, this is something that kids will really fuck with.
But like, unwilling to compromise on the band's sound.
Yeah.
They went on with their vision and released their debut album, Hybrid Theory, in October of 2000.
Can you imagine, like, just a straight-up rock record with just Chester? I mean, I'm sure it would be good.
I'm sure it'd be good, but it wouldn't have...
It wouldn't have been a cultural phenomenon.
I don't think we would be sitting here talking about Linkin Park if they had done that.
It probably just would have been faded into obscurity. I mean, because he was in Grey Days, and obviously they didn't have any traction. Like they were like a post-grunge band, so...
And post-grunge was also one of the biggest genres at the time.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I don't know how the label didn't see the spark that they had immediately and was skeptical. I can imagine being skeptical about this.
Hybrid Theory was an immediate success, spawning 4 hit singles. The most successful was In the End, which peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Top 100 and went on to be certified 4 times platinum.
Yeah, it's also, it said, the first nu metal song to reach 1 billion streams on Spotify.
Wow.
Which I don't know how many songs have reached 1 billion streams. I would say not too many.
Not a lot. The album itself peaked at number 2 on the Billboard and is certified 12 times platinum. Reaching the top 10 in 15 different countries and selling 32 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling debut album since Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah, I felt like it would be good to, you know, if you're listening, you may be wondering, like, why are they just now mentioning numbers and, like, chart positions, but... I mean, for Lulu, it's kind of hard to go over Lulu and Metallica. Like, I'm not going to go through every single album that both have released, and then Falling in Reverse, that was only their second album. Then Attila, that was their only album. So, you know, I felt like it was relevant to mention the numbers for Linkin Park just to
And the
give,
numbers are big.
Yeah, just to give the whole scope of like how, I mean, you know, obviously if you're listening to this, you probably remember when they were the biggest thing, but it's just crazy, like just how big a metal band could be.
They were the biggest, like one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah, I mean I would say that they're probably definitely like top 10 most successul rock/metal bands ever in terms
And
of
definitely the most successful new metal band.
I mean, probably most successful metal band. I mean, I feel like they probably sold more than Metallica.
I would say so.
I mean, Metallica's probably their only competition in that regard, I would say. And
yeah.
I think Linkin Park's probably sold more records and definitely had more hit singles. So.
For sure.
Yeah. So ultra fucking successful.
Meteora, their second album, was released in 2003, and it continued with the sound of Hybrid Theory. It debuted at number. You don't have a number here. It debuted somewhere on the Billboard 200.
I think it was one.
Sure.
Maybe?
It debuted number 1, number 2, number 3, somewhere in there.
Somewhere. It debuted at, some number between 1 and 100.
1 and 200.
Oops.
Well, it sold 810,000 copies in its first week, so I'm going to assume number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else in 2003 that was close to being that big.
Yeah, I don't know.
Except for like Lil Wayne, maybe?
I mean, probably not even.
Eminem?
But I mean, he had Eminem show was 2002.
Yeah, so actually,
I can't really think of another 2003 album off the top of my head, so I'm sure it's up there.
It went on to sell around 16 million copies worldwide, becoming 7 times platinum. In 2007, the band released their third album, Minutes to Midnight, which was a slight departure from the first two. More keyboards, less distorted guitars, softer ballad guitar solos, which was really weird for Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Mike Shinoda started singing at this time, with only 2 songs, Bleed It Out and Hands Held High, featuring the rap verses that you've come to expect from Shinoda.
Yeah, I would say Bleed It Out is the one song on the album that's...
feels like Linkin Park.
Yeah, I mean...
100%.
Yeah, because, I mean, other songs like Given Up shows the heavy... Really
yeah, they
heavy...
still feel like Linkin Park.
Yeah,
it's not, but
yeah.
Bleed It Out is the Linkin Park song.
That has the formula.
Yeah. Which it might be because this time Mike Shinoda was really getting his rap out in Fort Minor.
Yeah. When did their album... Did they only have the one album?
They only have the one album that I've listened to. I don't know if they did more after that.
I don't know when it came out. I want to say probably like 06.
06. It was around MySpace. I know because the single on that was a MySpace song.
Okay, let's see. Fort Minor. It came out in 2005.
2005.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's their only album. They had apparently they had a single in 2015.
Huh.
That's interesting. I need to listen to that. So yeah, 2005. So
yeah, so it makes sense.
Between this and Meteora,
it makes sense that he didn't rap as much on Minutes to Midnight.
Yeah, between Meteora and Minutes to Midnight.
The progression of the band was mostly met with mixed to positive reception by critics and mixed reaction by fans. The album, while not successful as Hybrid Theory and Meteora, still debuted at number 1 on the Billboard, as well as in 15 other countries, going on to be certified 5 times platinum, selling over 6 million copies worldwide. In retrospect, the new elements from Minutes to Midnight should have prepared us for what we would get with 2010's A Thousand Suns. However, going around old message boards at the time, the fan reaction seemed to be split in one of 3 camps. Fans that enjoyed Minutes to Midnight were disappointed the album didn't carry over the sound from that album. People who weren't fans of Minutes to Midnight enjoyed the new style of A Thousand Suns, or people who were very disappointed in both albums and hadn't enjoyed the bands since Meteora.
Mm-hmm. Which, at the time when A Thousand Suns came out, I would say I was in the camp of enjoyed Minutes to Midnight and was kind of disappointed. I mean, not as like they had to make Minutes to Midnight Part 2, but it's like, it was different than those and Hybrid Theory and Meteora.
Yeah.
I would say I wasn't a Minutes to Midnight fan being disappointed that it didn't carry over sounds.
I remember this was the first time I can remember hearing an album by a band that I enjoyed and not being 100% there for it.
Yeah, because even A Thousand Suns, like I had said, there was people that didn't like A Thousand Suns or didn't like Minutes to Midnight, but liked A Thousand Suns. but I don't remember. I mean, maybe it was because I was a little younger than I was when 1,000 Suns came out, but I don't remember much like fan
I don't remember
discourse
much
over Minutes to Midnight.
Minutes to Midnight 07, so you were 8, I was 10.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe that's why, but I still feel like, I mean, I don't know, when it came out, the both of us were really into it, and I feel like everything I saw online, people were into it, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Um,
But I guess it had its fair amount of detractors, I guess, that were disappointed in it.
which will always happen when a band changes sounds for any reason. But commenting on the divisive nature of the album, Chester said, 1,000 Suns is definitely something that we knew people would need to digest and get over the fact that it's not what they thought we would do. Which is true. I mean, critical reaction was much more favorable. Many reviews mentioning the appreciation of the continuation of the evolution that sparked by Minutes of Midnight, with one review comparing the political and social themes of the album to Public Enemy's Fear of a Black Planet, as well as multiple reviews comparing the style of the album to Pink Floyd's A Dark Side of the Moon and Radiohead's albums Kid A and OK Computer, in the sense that the album is not just a collection of a song, it's intended to be digested in its entirety, which now is something that we take for granted.
Yeah.
It feels like every album is really something, these days, is something that you listen to as a whole. People, like bands are making albums to listen to as an album. But back then, it was really the, before your road to success was the internet, your road to success was releasing successful singles and then an album with those successful singles and some other songs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends a lot on genres.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, you know, rock and metal-wise, obviously those were meant to be listened to as an entire album.
But it was something as popular as Linkin Park. It was a new concept. It was not a new concept, but it wasn't as expected from the band.
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, with other stuff that was mega popular at the time, like Lil Wayne, like, so, like, you know, like the rap that was popular at the time, or like
the post-grunge.
Or the pop, it's like, it was, main focus was on the radio singles.
Yeah, and then the rest of the album was just more songs the band had written and recorded.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, not always filler, but, you know, it's like you could easily just pick out the singles and throw the rest away in a lot of
like they
cases.
could have written any songs to fill in the spaces.
Yeah.
Speaking of the album's changes, Alex Young of Consequence mentioned, some might argue this new sound is posturing, complete mutation up to the point of absurdity. In the band's associated artwork and videos, evolution has been touted from day one. In essence, Linkin Park has been chasing this all along, and now it has become tangible, complete. In a 4 to 5 star review on Billboard, they said, the set is solemn, at times more of an industrial tone poem that puts Brad Delson's guitar decidedly on the back burner, and barely even in the oven, in favor of keyboards, samples, and rhythm loops that frame these 9 songs and 6 interludes. Later adding, the structures give vocalist Chester Bennington and Mike Shinoda plenty of emotive space, and both deliver. Bennington, in fact, boasts the performance of a lifetime on album closer The Messenger. The album did have detractors, however, with Johnny Firecloud. What a dweeb.
Yeah, looking at these fucking reviews for the albums we've done so far, you'll find, like, it's like websites I've never heard of and then reviews by people with just really very dated mid-2000s screen names, and it's like, is this an official review? I'm like, I don't know if like this could be considered an actual critic or if it's just
some guy,
an internet blogger. Yeah.
But Johnny Firecloud of Antiquiet giving a scathing 2.5 out of 5 review, stating, the album is a slick, full-bodied leap in the direction of self-parodying melodrama and fashionable faux revolution, rather than actual redemption through self-evolution. A grandly orchestrated mechanized mess of sentimentality and rage against the machine, the 15-track collection is entirely unconvincing as a call to action for uprising and activism.
Activision. Close enough.
Later chiming, Linkin Park strikes me far less as musicians than Pro Tools savvy art school kids who found a money-making formula after being let loose in the studio with a hell of a lot of expensive equipment.
Yeah,
which is not fair to Linkin Park, who released 2 of the biggest albums in the world.
Yeah, he's acting like they came straight out the gate with this and were fucking, like, art kids? What?
I don't...
It's like, have you heard about Chester Bennington's life. Like, he was not a fucking art kid. He had a rough-ass life.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Polarizing reception aside, the album still debuted at #1 on over 10 charts and was eventually certified platinum just one time.
Yeah.
This time.
I mean,
But it's still
better than a lot of bands can say.
Better than I've ever done. The band released 3 more studio albums, Living Things in 2012, The Hunting Party in 2014, and One More Light in 2017, all to varying degrees of critical success and fanfare. And here we get to the sad part. Tragically, July 20th, 2017, Chester Bennington did commit suicide, bringing an end to Linkin Park.
Mm-hmm.
Chester's legacy is felt worldwide as he, along with the rest of the band, gave the world an important and influential body of music, not only on the musical side, but the emotional side. As the topics Chester and Mike's lyrics touched on helped countless listeners feel like they weren't alone and could find a place of solace in Linkin Park's honest and vulnerable music.
Yeah.
And
that shit's still like...
It was the first celebrity death that hit me really hard.
Yeah,
like other ones before that had been like, this is sad, but this is the one where I felt crushed and heartbroken for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, like we had said, like, just the state of their, like, the way their music was, like, just touching you, you know, making you feel like you had an outlet with their music was a big part of it. It's like you felt close to the band, and especially Chester, since he was the main voice of the band, like, it is fucking rough. Yeah, that was, like, the first celebrity death that I ever cried over. Like, like, I remember seeing that, and I was just, like, crushed. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and, I mean, their lyrics were really important. They touched upon a lot of stuff that other bands hadn't really touched on yet.
Yeah.
They would eventually go on to be stuff that metal bands would touch on a lot with the rise of metalcore and scene music.
Yeah,
there would be a lot of talk of depression, suicide, self-harm.
Yeah, maybe some, like, emo music and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but not a band as mega popular as them.
Yeah, I don't even think emo music had really started to hit on that till about probably about Taking Back Sunday era.
I mean, yeah, to that degree, like, you know, I feel like a lot of earlier emo music, it's like depressing, but I feel like it's
more angry. Really.
Yeah, and it's more so in like a metaphorical way, I guess, like not straight up like saying like these are problems you're having and stuff you've gone through.
Linkin Park was very to the point.
Just open, yeah.
Yeah, and it was very important for music and for a lot of people growing up.
Yeah, like if you were a kid or a teenager in the early mid 2000s, like
Linkin Park
chances are
was really important to you.
Yeah, I mean,
doesn't matter if you were a prep kid or if you were the most depressed kid at the school. Like Linkin Park had something that hit you in the heart.
Yeah, for sure. So very tragic day.
So let's talk about the album. So the whole album just feels like experimental hip hop to me.
Okay.
Less so than like it doesn't feel as rock as you would expect from Linkin Park. There are some points where you can see the new metal roots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say a lot of the beats are and like the guitar is, I mean, kind of new metal, but it kind of makes me think of more industrial. I mean, I guess that's what critics had said. Like, it has an industrial feeling to it. Like, I feel like the songs are either industrial feeling or they're slower, kind of Coldplay-esque, but like not in a bad way. Yeah. But like Burning in the Skies and Iridescent songs like that are kind of that like soft pop rock.
Yeah, but those softer ones feel more like Linkin Park than some of the faster, more upbeat songs on the album to me. Yeah. Just because of Minutes to Midnight.
Yeah,
having more of
that's
that
true.
sound.
Yeah, with like Leave Out All the Rest and Shadow of the Day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, stuff like that.
So I teased before that while this album is very much different from what we were having at the time, there is one other album that not only sounds similar, the band did another change, like a change that was just as drastic. Mm-hmm. And they're also talking about the same subject matter.
Okay.
And that is My Chemical Romance's Danger Days, The Fabulous Life of Killjoys.
What the fuck?
Same year.
Yeah. I did not even think of that.
Yeah, it's really, and obviously, but neither of them knew that the other one was working on this album or had
Yeah.
heard the other album. They just both released not the same album. They're very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, I'd say in MCR's case, it seems more like theatrical. Like
It's more
it
theatrical.
feels like a movie.
And
whether this one feels real.
I mean, Danger Day is based on a comic that Gerard Way was writing.
Yeah.
And,
So it feels more like it could be a movie or a video game or
Danger
something.
Days is more like, look how cool it is to be rebels in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And this is more like, this is the actual crushing weight of an apocalypse.
Yeah, we're fuck boys. Like
I just think it's really weird they both released the same year talking about
Yeah.
very similar concepts.
I don't know how I didn't think of that. And it's like, I mean, for My Chemical Romance, like the Black Parade was a concept album, but
but the
for
Black
them
Parade
to
was emo, and then they went to like a tech rock.
yeah,
kinda.
like poppy electronic based.
Yeah.
Yeah, upbeat kind of like okay. That's I don't know why I didn't think of that. That's kind of weird to me that they came. I mean, I know they came out in the same year, but for some reason, Danger Days feels like it came out more so 2012 or 2013.
Yeah, it feels newer. It feels newer than this.
I don't know.
And I think it's just because I don't know. I remember Danger Days also having a Danger Days had one hit single
Oh,
that I remember of Na Na Na.
Well, it had Sing.
Sing. Yeah, I don't think that one got a music video though. Maybe it did.
Maybe I don't know.
We're not talking about that album today.
Yeah.
Do you have any like first impressions?
I mean,
First thoughts?
yeah. I mean, the ambition is
Yeah.
definitely there. Like how Mike had said, it needs to be like it's multi-concept and it needs to be digested as one whole thing. I mean, you can listen to the songs on their own, and listening to it at first, I'd say the only song that really worked for me by itself was Waiting for the End. Like I feel like that was the one song that I really, I mean, When They Come for Me to an extent, but Waiting for the End was, I feel like, the song that I would always come back to from this album.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to it more, there's other ones where I would definitely come back to it, and they work for me by themselves. But
Yeah.
I'd say if you've never heard this, you definitely need to listen to it all in one setting.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it does feel like one big song. Like, there's no breaks or anything. It all segues
Yeah.
with each other.
Through the use of very clever interstitials.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the narrative is powerful. It feels pretty epic in scope in a lot of ways.
And
so.
it still hits like it doesn't hit as close to home because it's about a post-apocalyptic wasteland, but there's still bits and pieces where you can almost like feel yourself and understand how your situation is comparable to the situation they're talking about.
Yeah, and we'll get to it later. Like, I feel there was some songs where I felt like the narrative wasn't strong, like they more so felt personal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll get to it. But I mean, I'd say that's what I mean. Like, taking them out of context of the album, they could feel more personal. But I guess when you have the whole album, they'll kind of fit more into the narrative.
Yeah.
But
I had to listen to this album more than I've had to listen to any of the other albums we've covered. It took me, I think, 5 total listens to get all of my notes, and I still had to go back and listen to a couple songs.
Yeah, I had to. Last night, I went and I brought up Genius, like formerly Rap Genius, to look at the lyrics while I was listening.
Yeah.
To really get some good notes. Because like I had got notes on like the music itself, but a lot of the lyrics I really had to really think about.
I didn't have time to do the Genius thing, so I didn't really get the story, but I picked out bits and parts of it.
Yeah,
it's a pretty straightforward story when you've listened to it enough to parse the lyrics out.
Yeah, and especially with the interludes, I had to really look at those and to find their meaning.
Yeah, and I had to look up to see who was speaking, what the speech was about.
Yeah,
because a lot of the interludes are them recording other people.
Yeah, so the album opens up, if that's all you have to say. The album opens up with the 2 short tracks, The Requiem and The Radiance.
Which you can really consider one, because the Requiem is just an instrumental with a vocal loader.
Of the catalyst, lyrics later used on the catalyst, where it's God save us everyone as we burn inside the fire of 1,000 suns. But it's like done in like a chiptune kind of.
It's like a Hatsune Miku.
Yeah, like it's like a female like chiptune voice.
And The Radiance is mostly just J. Robert Oppenheimer giving his famous quote of talking about the story of Kishnu, I
Mhm.
believe was the god, talking to a prince, and to impress him, saying, "I have become death, a destroyer of worlds," and talking about how that's how him and everyone else involved in the Manhattan Project felt.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, opens up with that. Then they segue into "Burning in the Skies," which I feel like it's a really good opening track for the album.
Yeah, it is. It's the one when I think of this album. Before now, when I thought of this album, it was this song.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why,
Huh.
but this is. I think this is the song I had heard the most for some reason.
That's interesting because, like I said, for me it was definitely "Waiting for the End" or "When They Come for Me."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Catalyst. Like I remember, we'll get to it later. That was the very first single released, so I definitely remember that one. Maybe if not just by name, by the "God Save Us Everyone as we burn in the fire of a thousand suns" part.
Yeah.
But that's interesting because I didn't really remember this one. Like a lot of these songs, like I've listened to this album occasionally since its initial release and like
Yeah.
listening to it a lot when it came out. Because like my brother, he's a big Linkin Park
He's
fan.
the reason we got into Linkin
Yeah,
Park, really.
so he had this album when it first came out, so I remember hearing it with him a lot whenever I would be in the car with him and stuff. But yeah, that's interesting because I didn't remember the song really until we re-listened to it just now. So
Yeah, this is also one of the most Linkin Park songs on the album, I think.
okay, yeah,
It's I don't know, maybe it's just because it's the one that I associate with this album, because every album from Linkin Park you have this one song like, okay, this is this album.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Numb for Meteora.
Okay, yeah. Huh, yeah, I like it a lot. I really like the chorus. I feel like the lyrics kind of maybe from like the POV of Oppenheimer, like
Yeah,
his point of view for creating the atomic bomb, or maybe like a general statement for
Yeah.
like humans slowly destroying the earth, because it's like, where the chorus says, "I'm swimming in the smoke of bridges I have burned, so don't apologize, I'm losing what I don't deserve."
Yeah.
I feel like that could be in
Yeah, I think it's the
Oppenheimer's
point of view of someone who helped facilitate
Yeah.
this apocalypse that they're talking about.
Yeah, so I feel like it's a good opening track to set the mood of the album
Yeah.
and the themes of the album.
I think it's and then we get to the Requiem, which is
Empty
sorry,
Spaces.
we get to Empty Spaces.
Yeah.
My notes started editing themselves. So we get to Empty Spaces, which is just war sounds.
Yeah, and
It's just gunfire.
Well, it actually there's beneath it. I didn't notice it even because like I listened to the album mostly at work with one earbud in, listened to it a little bit in the car, and even with two earbuds in last night when I was going back and listening, and I pulled up the lyrics. It actually it's apparently Brad Delson, the guitarist, speaking in Spanish, saying all the platoons pay attention right now, but like you can barely hear it. So
yeah, I didn't notice that at all.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's like a war call for When They Come for Me, what it segues into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's something that is really hard to catch. So I mean, if it wasn't for researching it on Genius,
there's a lot of love and care put into hiding stuff in this album.
yeah,
It feels like there's a lot more layers than you expect. I think they really wanted this to be an album that you listen to multiple times.
yeah, you have to
and
really
slowly parse through and digest.
Yeah, because I mean, even when we get to our thoughts on the album as a whole, I feel like it's also an album where you have to listen to it multiple times to really like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because on my first listen, the songs that I had remembered, obviously I remember for a reason. I like them.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a couple more where I was like, okay, yeah, I like this one too a lot. I kind of remember it now listening to it. And then there was some that I was so on, but as I listened like a second and third time, I was like, this whole album, album as a whole is really good.
The more I listen to it, the more I like it.
Yeah, you just really have to digest it.
It's
I
kind of
I
like,
think that's the purpose.
Yeah, and the closest analog I can find for that would be Coheed and Cambria. Their albums are their entire discography minus one album is a single story.
Okay.
It's a single concept, and so each album you have to listen to and digest and slowly parse where it is in the story, until of course you buy the comics and get to read along with it. But
okay, so
I don't know if Linkin Park was inspired by Coheed and Cambria at all, because like
I don't know, I mean
they're like Coheed and Cambria is a very space opera thing, so I could see how listening to them could lead you to make an apocalyptic concept album.
Yeah. But I think that one review that we had mentioned in the beginning, saying that through the band's artwork and everything, like they've been chasing this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because they are a very conceptual band. I mean,
Yeah.
with Breaking the Habits music video, it was like that whole anime music video for that, and like they had the Linkin Park fan club. Like they've had a whole bunch of. I mean, I don't know the exact number, but I know they've released like a ton of albums just through the Linkin Park fan club. I don't know if it's all original stuff or it's like maybe remix stuff or just demos. I don't know, but there's like they've done a lot of stuff and had a lot of really big ideas and conceptions. I mean, even for this album, they played The Catalyst, Iridescent, I think, and Waiting for the End. They played them at historical sites in different countries. It was really interesting. I was reading about it. Like, they were for some MTV awards.
Huh.
But, so yeah, from the beginning, they've kind of had, like, a vision and a big scope. And I would agree with everything they've done kind of led up to something like this being created.
I felt like they always wanted to make an album that was bigger than the songs.
Yeah.
And this was their first chance to really do that.
Mm-hmm.
When They Come For Me also, it reminds me of, and these are bands that are post this album, but it reminds me of Death Grips or Clipping, really. It's like that, it feels really experimental hip-hop.
Yeah, I love the guitar, like the brr, brr, brr,
Yeah.
brr, 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 like with the drums, like
Yeah, it's very, it's a lot like
it's a very industrial type beat, like very stripped back, bare bones type beat.
Feels like it would have been perfectly like fine in the 4 Minor album. Even I think it could have been a 4 Minor song.
But yeah, I love Mike's flow on the song, and it has really good lyrics too.
Yeah,
really good bars about. I feel like it's kind of a statement for fans of the band or critics, saying that he's going to do his own thing and the band's going to do their own thing. Yeah, because even on one part he says, "I am not the fortune in the game, not the same person telling you to forfeit the game." Or wait, fortune and the fame, typo. Not the same person telling you to forfeit the game, which is a reference to Points of Authority, where it's like forfeit the game before somebody, that part. So, kind of him saying like, he's not that same person anymore. He's changed, and then it has a few other references like to Big and Lauryn Hill in the second verse about like money and stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's kind of a song that is saying like we're gonna do our own thing. Like we're not just catering to people to be popular. Like we're bigger than that.
Yeah, they're making music that they want to make.
Yeah, exactly.
He's saying that on the song, which is a powerful message. Robot Boy.
Why you say it like that? You don't like this one?
I think it's a good song. I didn't get a lot of notes on it, but there is a instrumental section near the end that immediately evoked in me the chorus to "My God is an Awesome God." It sounded like a weird industrial reharmonization of "My God is an Awesome God."
And it was in what part?
It's an instrumental part near the end.
An instrumental? Okay.
It was like,
I'll have to listen to it. Okay, yeah, I remember when it's like a little key solo type thing at the end. Okay.
And I remember just like, "My God is an awesome."
Like what? Take us to church, Linkin Park. But yeah, it has like, the song kind of gives me like a 80s synth rock, arena rock type feel, like something like Soft Cell or Eurythmics. I'm not any type of informed on that genre. Like I wouldn't really know the big hits from that.
The 80s is a decade I tend to avoid.
Yeah, but that's what it kind of brought to me, because it has like really heavily layered vocals.
Yeah.
It's like all synths and piano with like low key beat in the back. So, and the lyrics, this is what I was getting to. I mean, it kind of is the same of When They Come For Me, where I feel like they don't fit the narrative really that much about, nuclear war and the downfall of humanity. Like, I mean, maybe Robot Boy is like trying to find hope in it, but I feel like it's mostly just a song trying to get across the message of, even if you are so desensitized to the world, emotionless, and like you have nothing left to give, it gives a message of hope with saying, hold on, the weight of the world will give you the strength to go. Like, it repeats that towards the end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it kind of could fit into the narrative, but it's not really as heavy-handed as some of the other songs, like Burning in the Skies.
Yeah, I think it's one of the songs that fits both in the narrative and in, like, just a song by itself.
Yeah.
Just with its own message.
Yeah.
Jornada del Muerto.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have time to look at the lyrics.
Okay, well...
I just have that it's just another short interstitial.
Yeah, the interlude, it's named after the desert, which was the first test site of Trinity, or the test site of Trinity, which was the first nuclear bomb. Yeah.
Yeah.
The track repeats Mochigete Toki Hana Shite, which means lift me up, let me go in Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is another thing that's brought back in the Catalyst.
Yeah, but they say it in English in the Catalyst,
yeah, it's
right?
like, lift me up, let me go. Yeah, so...
another thing that we forgot to mention about the whole nuclear bomb thing, we are close to Oak Ridge where the nuclear bombs were created.
Yeah.
This is a little close, like, literally close to home for us.
I mean, so if there's ever a nuclear fallout, Oak Ridge and Knoxville are going to be the first sites to go, probably.
Yeah,
so.
I've always known that in the case of nuclear war, Oak Ridge is the first target.
Yeah, but I mean, at least we don't get many natural disasters here, so
True.
That's a plus. Tornadoes go right over the valley, the good old East Tennessee Valley. So,
Waiting for the End.
Mm-hmm.
Really good song.
I love this song.
I really love this song. It might be my favorite on the album.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. It's really hard to pick a favorite on this album because it almost feels like one continuous song sometimes.
Yeah. But I love the opening riff and then like the keys coming in.
Yeah. The part sung by Shinoda is really catchy.
Yeah,
really upbeat. I really like it.
This is not the end. It reminds me that the verses with him and the ending, whenever it's like, I tried to find the right, but the right was wrong. It reminds me of the fucking Arthur theme song. Like, it has the kind of upbeat reggae feel. Like,
every day when you're walking down the street.
Yeah,
you're right. It does feel like Arthur.
Yeah, but I love this song, and whenever the music, the beat cuts and it just goes to the piano when Chester comes in, that shit gives me chills every fucking time.
It has a line on the album that may be the most emotional, which is Chester singing, "All I want to do is trade this life for something new."
Yeah, a lot of the parts on this song are really, especially like in the light of his passing, are really
looking
close
at
to
it
home.
retrospectively after him passing, it's like a lot of Linkin Park is like that.
Yeah, a lot.
Where you're looking at this and being like, oh my god, what did we all just not see or just ignore?
Especially One More Light, like there's a lot of songs on that album, and that was released like only a couple of months before he passed. It's like, fuck. Like,
yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's like, obviously, it's art, so... Yeah. You don't really, I mean, you think about it, obviously that's coming from somewhere, but it's not like gonna ring off alarm bells.
Yeah, and especially around 2017 when there were a lot of bands singing about the same things and they all seemed to be doing fine. They were just singing about past experiences. It felt like.
Yeah, because
experiences that they were working through the music.
Yeah, because it's like for Chester, I mean, big fans of the band know about his past. Like, he was abused. He had, really bad addictions to drugs. Mm-hmm. But it's like, he had been, when I was reading about it, I think he had been sober for a really long while until his passing. And then, he had a wife and kids. So it's like, from the outside, you're like, he seems to have
I mean, that's how it gets you.
Yeah, I mean,
you never know what someone's going through.
Yeah, I mean, he just obviously never overcame his trauma, sadly, which it's awful, but yeah, just listening to that part.
Listening to that line really...
Yeah, just the part when he comes in, it just gives me chills. And like, you remember the tribute benefit concert thing they had? Yeah. I think that's probably my favorite performance of any of the songs. It's the lead vocalist from Echo Smith. She's the one that sings his
Okay.
parts. It's really good. That shit gives me chills too.
I haven't watched that since it happened.
Yeah, God,
I need to go back and watch it.
Whenever that shit came out, I watched that at least like 5 or 6 times. Like it was so good. It was
like we said, his passing was a huge moment in our lives.
Yeah. 2017 was a rough year for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah, Waiting for the End is a really good song. Blackout is the most Linkin Park song on the album.
Yeah, well, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah,
it's like it has the screaming that they're known for.
It brings back a little bit of the distorted guitar, I believe.
Yeah, it's like.
Is this the one that's like John? Or is that a different song?
No, that's Wretches and Kings.
That's Wretches and Kings. That one is okay. We'll talk about that one.
Blackout. It starts out with it's just like keys, like synths and keys, and Chester's kind of like rap, singing, talk. Like I wouldn't really call it rapping. It's more like sing talking.
Yeah.
And at first, the first time I listened to this album, again in preparation for this, I was kind of iffy on that. It grew on me, but I really love when he starts screaming on it. But like it's weird because it's like a kind of a groovy like soaring kind of piano riff.
Yeah.
So it's like it has some screaming, but it's not how it has been done on past Linkin Park albums.
And speaking of that talk singing part, that's another connection to My Chem. It reminds me specifically of Professional Griefers by Deadmau5 featuring Gerard Way.
I don't know.
It has the da 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 da.
I don't know.
It has like another like sing talking part. It was like ba da 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 da.
Yeah, like the cadence that.
Yeah. And it just reminded me.
And is Gerard doing that?
Yeah, it's Deadmau5 featuring Gerard Way.
Okay, huh.
It's a really good song.
I don't know if I've ever heard that.
It came out in 2012.
Okay, huh. But yeah, this one, I really like whenever he's screaming, saying, you can't keep it inside, or gotta keep it inside, push it back down, it back down. And then the electronic breakdown is really good too, where it's like kind of does his vocals in like a dubstep way.
Yeah, or kind of like chops and screws them.
Yeah, it's like saying blood in your eyes. It's like blood.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it goes pretty fucking hard.
And then Wretches and Kings, which is the one with the riff that I was just talking about.
Yeah,
it's a really good riff. It also is very old Linkin Park, but more trap.
Yeah, it kind of gives me like I guess in the way like the beat of the song is kind of like cut up parts of a guitar riff, which is really cool. And I guess maybe like the tone of the guitar in that sense, and especially the lyrics really give me like a Rage Against the Machine feel.
Yeah, but it's also very like it even has the stereotypical trap yaz.
Yeah, it's like yeah,
and
or
it's
like hey, something like that.
There's like the same sample that you hear in a lot of like trap songs.
Yeah, it's doing that over when the guitar's going don't. It's like has a trap beat behind it, and it's like
it also starts off with a recording of Mario Savio giving his Bodies Upon the Gear speech.
Yeah, I think it starts and ends with that.
Yeah, which is a really powerful speech.
Yeah,
and it's really powerful, especially in the narrative of the album too.
Yeah, this song really feels like it's like a rebellious anthem, like a call to action. Yeah. Especially with the when Chester comes in, like saying "Wretches and Kings, we come for you." Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really, I would say, powerful, like get off your ass and fight the power type song. Yeah. So yeah, really good one.
Which I mean, the whole album really feels like trying to incite a revolution in the apocalypse.
Yeah. And then it goes into Wisdom, Justice, and Love, which is a part of an MLK speech.
Did you find which speech it is?
Yeah. Okay. A Time to Break Silence. It was like a speech. He did it at a church in New York. Basically, it was like a speech where he questions the Vietnam War, like the purpose of it, and paralleling that to like racial tension at the time and stuff. So. And as the speech goes on in the album, the audio gets like distorted. And gets kind of creepy.
It's also
chilling.
Really powerful.
Yeah. As he starts saying wisdom, justice, and love, it kind of just at that point is down to a like demonic robot sounding voice. It's just a little unsettling.
Yeah,
but
and it also
powerful.
goes into what I would say is the most emotional song on the album, Iridescent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say this one definitely, yeah, it is really emotional. I'd say along with probably, I'd say The Messenger.
The Messenger, yeah, also,
Yeah.
but...
Yeah, but this one really has, like I was saying, like that, like a Coldplay
Yeah.
feel to me. Not in a bad way,
Like
but it's just like...
Minutes to Midnight sounding stuff,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, where it's... you know, especially when the gang vocals come in on the chorus, leading into like the drum part. It's, I guess, kind of can be considered a breakdown, but it's like the whole gang vocals come in on the chorus, and it kind of has like that pop rock kind of feel to it. Like not cheerful because it is emotional, but
yeah, but the standard pop rock, like kind of upbeat emotional.
yeah, like Imagine Dragons type stuff.
Yeah,
like,
but good.
Yeah, but good.
And this song, from what I can tell, seems to be tackling like the emotional burden of trying to survive and find a purpose in the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it hits pretty hard today with the, especially after the pandemic, with the struggle to survive and find purpose in the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I like this whole album really feels. I feel like if I had listened to this pre-pandemic, it wouldn't have been as impactful.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that because I mean, that left a lot of people.
Yeah.
Not knowing what the fuck to do.
And I mean, the pandemic is not a nuclear apocalypse, but it is like it's the first really big thing in our lives.
Yeah, that could be any sort of compared to this.
Yeah.
Because I mean.
And hopefully the only thing in our lives that could be compared to this.
Yeah. So luckily it didn't come to fucking post-apocalypticism, but
yeah, that word I can't say.
It's pretty scary there for a minute.
Yeah. Then we get to Fallout, which is the lyrics from Burning in the Sky.
Yeah.
Through a vocoder. From what I read, it's Mike Shinoda speaking it through a vocoder.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like it kind of brings the album full circle in a way.
And it also
prepared for the very end.
It's just a single synth, so it meshes perfectly to the beginning of the Catalyst. It could almost be they could have almost put that as one track.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they didn't, so that people, if they want to, can not add the interstitials to their because when this came out, iPods were getting big, so I'm sure there's some people that like rip the album and just remove the interstitials. So it's really nice that they cut it like that.
Yeah,
but they didn't have to.
But yeah, it kind of brings it full circle. Like preparing for the end. I mean, hence the name Fallout. Like it feels like you're getting ready for the fallout of it all. So. And
then it segues perfectly into the Catalyst, which is another one that repeats lyrics that we have heard earlier in the album because it's what the Vocaloid in the Requiem, the first track of the album, sings, but now it's a person singing instead of the Hatsune Miku Vocaloid.
Yeah, and this was the lead single of the album. Like I don't know. Do you think it should have been? Like I feel like it doesn't really. I don't know.
I think it's not as good out of context.
Yeah.
I think if anything should have been singles. I'd say Iridescent, Wretches and King, Blackout, Waking for the End.
Yeah, Waiting for the End. I feel like it should have been Waiting for the End, but yeah, any of those.
Any of those have been great because they all. Some of them are more Linkin Parky to pull the old fans back in.
Yeah, so I definitely see why it threw people off.
Yeah.
For this being the lead single, but yeah, also they did this really cool thing where they had a fan contest where they had. They gave people the stems to this song, and they
had
just
to do
let them do a remix. Yeah, and
this was this before or after their remix album?
Oh, this was way after.
Way after.
Yeah, Reanimation was even before Meteora.
Was it?
Yeah, it was only remixes of Hybrid Theory songs.
Huh.
Yeah. Because I bought for a Hybrid Theory's 20th anniversary. I bought like a box set, and it was Hybrid Theory, Reanimation, and then like demos and like live tracks album. So yeah, I think it had like some new songs, but all the songs are remixed were only Hybrid Theory songs. Okay. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I listened to the remix. It wasn't really my thing. It was kind of EDM-ish, but like the one that won, because the one that got first place, they actually put on a like Best Buy bonus edition of the CD.
That's another thing with Linkin Park CDs. I was looking; they all have a lot of like exclusive tracks for different retailers, which I
Yeah.
guess was
I mean, that
pretty
was a
common
thing
at
at the
that
time,
point.
yeah.
But
Entice people to get it from a specific place.
but the last time I remember a band having a retail location exclusive track was Neck Deep's "Life's Not Out to Get You."
Oh, really?
Had, 2 acoustic versions of songs on the album and a full band version of the final song on the album for the Target exclusive CD. So of course I fucking bought that.
Yeah,
one.
okay.
That's the last time I remember that, and that was 2015.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, having exclusive tracks for a deluxe edition is pretty common, but yeah, not so
no retailer
retailers
or
anymore.
even like region exclusive, and it's because of
that's-
streaming.
Yeah, that's a very 2010 thing to do.
Yeah,
But
let's bring it back.
yeah, fucking get your.
Give me my Circuit City exclusive.
Yeah, I was about to
track.
say Radio Shack exclusive.
Hey, there's still a Radio Shack in Knoxville.
There's still a few out there. Yeah, travel to wherever you can find your nearest Radio Shack for an exclusive track. But yeah, and apparently like they had said that they were saving the top 20 or 30 to be released later on, but they haven't released them yet.
Hopefully they do soon.
I mean, that'd be
That'd
cool
be
to
really
hear
cool.
different remixes. I mean, yeah.
Especially with them releasing all the demos for 20 years of Meteora.
Yeah, they did some for Hybrid Theory too. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Meteora. Yeah, that could be really cool. But I don't know. I guess that kind of brings me to how I feel about the track. I feel like the track itself feels like a remix.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, this is definitely my least favorite track on the album. It just, I feel like for a while it just never really goes anywhere. Like, I like how it starts out saying, like, in the light of 1,000 suns, like the.
Yeah, that part ties the album together, but then it doesn't build on that idea.
Yeah, it just kind of repeats that with different instrumentation and beats in the background for like the first 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like it starts out, I'm like, oh yeah, because it like feels really like anthem-esque, like a big anthem, and it just kind of doesn't really go.
It's ultimately the weakest song on the album.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been the single.
Yeah, that's why it's like it feels like a remix to me, because it's like it just kind of. At one part, a beat starts to build up, and it feels like it might drop, but then it just kind of keeps going.
Yeah.
Until I can't remember exactly what it goes to, but I think it might go to like a softer part towards the end.
Which would make sense with the track that comes up next.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, I mean, I guess they were feeling it if they released it as the lead single, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a weird choice. Yeah.
But then we get to The Messenger, which is Chester's best performance on this album, vocally, and one of Chester's best vocal performances I've heard.
Yeah, and it's the first solely acoustic Linkin Park song in their discography.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, they've had songs where it's just Chester, no mic, and more low key, like ballad type songs, but they've all had at least drums or something in them.
Yeah, this is just piano, right?
Yeah, it's guitar. It's
guitar.
It's acoustic guitar, but then I mean it does have piano, but there's no. I mean, I would consider that acoustic.
Yeah, there's no electric.
There's no percussive
drums.
instruments to it or anything. But yeah, it's really good ballad, like you said, a really good vocal performance, powerful lyrics.
It really highlights that he was one of the most talented vocalists ever.
Yeah, and it leaves the album off with like a positive note, I would say, because it's kind of about like finding hope.
Yeah, it's about hopefulness, which is, and then like it really moves ends the narrative off very well there.
Oh yeah, and this is really sad in the wake of his passing, but on February 22nd, 2011, at a pre-show backstage press conference, he said that he wrote the song for his children, saying that they were growing up and things might get tough, but he would always love them. So yeah, that's fucking...
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's very fucking sad, but...
Yeah,
it definitely is a song that encourages that, like, always go on no matter what, so... Yeah. I hope his children... I'm sure they really appreciate the song.
I'm sure they really appreciate being able to hear their dad's voice so easily.
Yeah, knowing how much he affected
fans
and
yeah.
But yeah, I saw that and I didn't write it down, but I was like, I have to say that because that was like really fucking it's close to home reading that.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
Okay, so that concludes the track by track. We decided not to talk about our least favorite tracks on the album, really, because it's just the one. It's the catalyst.
Yeah. So best tracks. What you got?
Honestly, Wretches and Kings, Blackout, When They Come For Me, Waiting for the End. They're all really good.
Mm-hmm.
No track really stood out as the best. No,
Okay.
but just one track stood out as the worst, and even as the worst, it's still a good song.
Yeah. I think Waiting, Waiting for the End is definitely my favorite. And then I got When They Come For Me and Wretches and Kings.
They're all really good. You know?
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, I like Blackout. I like every song on the album, and the Catalyst, even though it's my least favorite.
I still enjoy it.
Yeah, it's
in context. At
yeah,
least.
yeah. It's definitely the one song that I wouldn't listen to by itself.
Yeah.
Out of the whole album, but it's still not a bad song by any means. You know, since this album really doesn't have any bad parts or cringy lyrics or anything,
Yeah.
we figured we'd do a ranking of their albums instead of doing a worst moments.
I've only listened to the first 4, and obviously the remix and Collision Course, but I didn't rank those because
yeah.
it felt weird to try to rank not joke albums, but like a remix album and an album with Jay-Z.
Yeah, like an MTV performance with Jay-Z. Yeah. Well, no. I mean, it was an MTV collab.
Yeah, but they released a whole album.
Yeah, I know.
It's really good.
Yeah, but I think it was like MTV. It was like I mean, it might have just been called like MTV mashups. It was something where they would take like, I don't know how many they did. The only one I know is the Linkin Park and Jay-Z one.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would take 2 artists and that were not really similar, I guess, and have them remix their songs together. But yeah, I mean, you probably, I'm sure you've heard songs from their
I've heard
3
songs
albums.
from I've heard a lot of songs. I didn't listen to the albums. My ranking is, I'm gonna go from the one I think is the worst to the one I think is best. So at number 4 we have Minutes to Midnight.
Okay.
Solid album. I think it's the weakest of the 4. Above that we have 1,000 Suns.
Okay.
Then Hybrid Theory, and then Meteora.
Okay. Well, even the one I like the least by them is still good. One More Light is my least favorite.
Is it their 2017 album?
Yeah, their last one. It has really good songs on it. I would say the songs are all either really good or not noteworthy. So it's like, there's not any that I say are awful. It's just, it probably has their most like just take it or leave it songs for me on any of their albums. But there are songs on there that I really, really do like. And then 6 is The Hunting Party, which this is the only one that I hadn't listened to in its entirety before until recently. I figured I needed to listen to it to rank it. It was really good. It kind of has like a 90s, I guess, alt metal sound to it, like Rage Against the Machine. It's like, it's not really new metal, it's rap metal, I would say.
Okay.
Which, is kind of a difference. But it's really good. There's some really heavy parts. It has a bunch of guest vocalists on it. Like, I want to say Raekwon is on there.
Weird.
Tom Morello does a solo on one of the songs.
I have to check it out.
Darren Macklin from System of a Down.
Yeah.
And I think there's another guest rapper on there, with Pusha T as a guest rapper on one of the songs in One More Light. And it's one of my favorite songs on the album. And then 5, I have 1,000 Suns. 4, I have Living Things. I remember not really caring much for that album, but listening to it, there's a lot of songs on there that I really, really like. I feel like it kind of takes the sound of 1,000 Suns and mixes it with Hybrid Theory and Meteora. Like, it has more of an electronic feel, like an industrial, I guess, feel that 1,000 Suns does, but it is like, brings back the scope to Hybrid Theory and Meteora levels. It's really good. Then 3, I have Minutes to Midnight. I just really like it. I mean,
it's a good album.
Yeah.
I just like 1,000 Suns more.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I thought that might change for me, because I listened to Minutes to Midnight again for the first time in a while, and there for a minute I was like, I might actually like 1,000 Suns better, but I like Minutes to Midnight a little better. It's a really good album. I love Give It Up, and Bleed It Out, and fucking No More Sorrows, a really pretty, like, different song for them. Like, it feels like just more straight up metal instead of new metal. Then 2, Hybrid Theory, and then 1, Meteora.
Yeah,
So,
Hybrid Theory is always the one that I thought was my favorite until I actually went back and re-listened to Hybrid Theory, and I was like, no, I actually
okay.
wanted to listen to Meteora.
For a while, it's been for a while now that Meteor has been my favorite, actually. Like, I think as a kid, Hybrid Theory was. I don't know. It's like they're really neck and neck, though. Like, it's very hard to choose which one is better.
It's just sometimes it feels like I think I want to listen to Hybrid Theory, but what I actually want is Meteora because we were so young when they both came out. They kind of blend into one album to me.
Yeah. I would say maybe the singles on Hybrid Theory are better, but I like the deeper cuts on Meteora better. But I mean, I do love the deep cuts on Hybrid Theory, like By Myself.
Yeah,
and,
I mean they're both perfect albums.
Yeah, but Meteora, like I fucking love Figure 09, Point 09.
Yeah,
that's like one of my favorite songs by them.
I think that one was remixed on the remix album, though, wasn't it?
Was it?
No, it's on. I'm thinking of Collision Course. It's Points of Authority, Figure 09, and some Jay-Z song.
I thought it was Points of Authority and One Step Closer.
Oh my god, was it?
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Oh my lord.
But I know on, Points of Authority / 99 Problems /
That's right, okay.
Closer. Yeah, the only song, or the songs from Meteora that were on the Collision Course are Lying From You and Faint.
Oh, okay.
Those are both the two of the singles from the album. They're really good too. Fucking Collision Course, that's, I guess if I included that in the ranking, I'd probably put it between Hybrid Theory and Minutes to Midnight. I fucking love Collision Course.
Yeah.
You've watched the live performance of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that live DVD that I think had the performance on it.
Oh, okay. I think it's cool because I'm pretty sure on the album version of the One Step Closer, Points of Authority, and 99 Problems, I think they might start out with One Step Closer and then go into Points of Authority, but when they do it live, they flip-flop that.
No, I think it's the other way around.
Yeah, something like that.
I think they started with Points of Authority
but
and then go into One Step Closer.
Yeah, but I like the live version better than the studio version of that one. But yeah, I remember on the live video of it, fucking, there's one part, I think it's when, Is It Faint, where he's like, I can't feel the way I did before, don't turn your back on me.
I believe that's it.
Whenever he's doing that part and he starts screaming where he's like, hear me out now, and he's screaming that part and like holds it out for a long time. I remember the camera cuts to Jay-Z and he's like clutching his pearls, he's like holding his chest and he's looking like, god damn.
Yeah, I have, speaking of that incredibly long scream, there was a TikTok challenge for a little while of people trying to do that, and there was only one person that was able to hold it out as long as he could.
I think you're thinking of the long scream and
Am I thinking of a different long scream? There's a lot
Giving Up.
I am thinking of a long scream. There's a lot of long screams. Chester Bennington had so much breath control.
I mean, he could do that shit fucking live. Like looking at clips of him doing that from what's the song we just said? Giving Up. Yeah, looking at live versions like the Live at Milton Keyes album, live DVD.
That was the first album that I actually owned that was my own.
Okay, yeah.
It was the Live at Milton Keyes. It came with an album
and the DVD,
and I remember watching that DVD every day.
Yeah, but that and then like other, I had I think I still have it, like their Live in Texas performance. I think that came out. It was after Meteora, but yeah, like he would do shit live where you'd be like, what the fuck? Like, how do you have the energy to run around stage and do all this shit and still be able to hold notes like that and then go from like screaming to singing and just fucking... It's like incredible. Once in a generation fucking vocalist.
Once in forever, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So, rating the album, does it deserve one last breath? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. I think any fan of Linkin Park who didn't give this album a chance when it came out for whatever reason, or only listened to it the one time and decided, maybe not for me, give it another shot. Look back at it now. It holds up. It's really good.
I think people have came around to it. On Metacritic, the critical score is 66% based on 10 critic reviews. The user score is 7.6 based on 506 reviews.
I think that's a little low.
Yeah, but going around on YouTube and then on Reddit, I was looking at people ranking Linkin Park's discography on the Linkin Park subreddit, and it was crazy. Like, almost every single comment had 1,000 Suns as number one. Like, I was really surprised.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I was like, damn, like I figured people had warmed up to it, but
I didn't realize that they would like it better than Meteor and Hybrid Theory.
Yeah, it was really weird too because there were some that had Hybrid Theory and Meteor as dead last, and I was like, damn. I was like, I mean,
Linkin Park fans are built different.
I guess
I don't get it.
I was like, I mean, yeah, it's your opinion, but I was like, shit, like even putting nostalgia aside, those are just fucking amazing albums, like game-changing albums.
Yeah, I guess without nostalgia, you can realize that new metal is cringe.
But not Linkin Park, like not their style of new metal. I don't think. Like,
I mean, yeah,
yeah,
it's a little more cringe than like System of a Down.
Yeah,
I would say just because of the rap in it.
I mean, yeah,
the rap's good. M. Shinoda's good at what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say probably people might just be like, with the lyric wise, like, oh well, that's
yeah, it's dark, it's edgy,
yeah.
It's a little too on the nose sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like actually saying, "Hey, I want to die."
Yeah,
like directly almost.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I mean, like you said, I think those are a little low for 1,000 Suns.
I'd give it
like
about 8.5.
Yeah, I would say I was gonna say well, I mean, I guess not too low since the consensus for user was 7.6. I would give it probably 7.5 to 8. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah, it deserves one last breath. And like you said, if you're a fan of Linkin Park and didn't connect with it and haven't touched it since it came out, I would say go back and listen to it and definitely try to listen to it all in one setting and listen to it multiple times, and it'll probably click with you.
All right, well, thank you for listening. We'll see you next week with whatever.
Yeah, see you next week.